Golden Spiral Media presents The Blacklist Exposed.
Gotta shine. Look at that. You gonna sell it? Well, it's great to be back here at the Blue Box after finally completing some unfinished training at the Quantico base out in Virginia the past few months. Welcome to the Blacklist Exposed. I am Agent Troy Heinrichs.
And I'm Agent Aaron Peterson, and I'm tired. I feel like I've been on sabbatical.
Sabbatical, holy crap. We got to get ready because the Blacklist Season 3 is coming up September 25th. That's Thursday night, and it's 8 p.m. time slot. We are excited that it's coming back, but we are here today to talk about this.
It's a comic book.
A comic book. Can you believe it? They made a Blacklist comic book. This is the coolest thing ever.
Sure.
And this one is especially cool because this guy right here, Mr. Peterson, he picked this up for me at Comic-Con.
I did.
This is a limited edition Comic-Con cover for the comic book. Right there. Check it out. It's pretty sweet.
Super special.
So,
And I had to fight 3 mimes to get that.
this is like the old Cabbage Patch days or something?
It is, man. Yeah.
So we are here back at the Blue Box. We were here in the fall, or no, the spring for the finale.
Yeah, we did our
right?
finale party here.
Yeah, it was a good time. We had a blast. We had a couple people come out. It was awesome. We're just glad to be here. That was episode number 26 of our podcast. You can check that out at theblacklistexposed.com. And we've been really busy, too. We put out a podcast app, did we not?
What did we do?
I think it was iOS and Android, right?
You did that. I didn't do anything.
Yeah, but I made sure it was on Android for you because he's always mad about the fact
I won't
that
do Apple.
people
No.
like always put on Apple stuff and not Android stuff. So yes, we have a podcast app. You can download it from iOS and Apple and Android on Google Play. Check that out. You can get all the information, and we'll be good to go.
And we've been busy since last getting together, like Troy said, both in the apps. But we don't want to leave anybody out. So if you have not yet done so, I'm trying to read off of Troy's notes, which are not making sense to me. But if you have not done so, be sure to get the Blacklist Exposed app on your mobile device, and you will be ready to listen as soon as the show comes back in the fall. When does it come back? Do you know?
September 25th, Thursday
September
night.
25th.
And it's going to be a great night on NBC. We're going to have Heroes. Actually, is going to be back. If you remember Heroes from back in the day, it'll be on at 7.
Are you a fan?
I am a huge fan that Heroes is coming back because I thought the writer's strike kind of messed it up a little bit. So this will be awesome to have Heroes back. And then we're also going to have The Blacklist and then a new show with Wesley Snipes. The player, right?
The player. I'll watch that, but Heroes, if Simon Fuller's not back, I don't know if I'm going to watch it.
Yeah, it'll be tough. It'll be tough. Okay, so today, though, we're talking The Blacklist, and we're going to talk about some Season 3 news that we've been able to find out about. We're also going to be talking about the comic book. It's entitled The Gambler, Part 1. It's going to be a 6-series comic book. We don't know if The Gambler is going to cover all 6 series or 6 issues, or if it's just going to be the first 3 or the first 2. We're not sure yet. So we know for a fact right now that issue 1 is out. Issue 2...
Yes, we know for a fact. You just held it up.
Issue 1 is out.
You don't need to hold it up again.
Issue 2 is going to be out August 15th, and issue 3 is going to be out September 15th. And so,
Are you excited? Are you going to go to your local comic book vendor?
I totally am. I'm going to my local comic book vendor right here on my iOS device. I downloaded the Comixology app.
That's wrong. I feel like it's a betrayal of the medium.
It totally is, but honestly, reading comic books in the digital age, Comixology is probably one of the best comic book apps to read it on because it lets you go cell by cell. It's pretty sweet.
See this? This is paper, kids. A lot of people used to use these in the old days when they were driving their carts. And it had pictures. It's got pictures. Love it. I'm not using an app to read a comic book. It's against the law.
It's against the law.
Yep.
Well, it's written by Nicola Phillips, who is actually writing the entire series, and it's also written by, the art was done by Benny Lobel, and Benny's actually done some stuff for Constantine and the Batman Arkham Unhinged series, so it's really great, and it's released by Titan Comics. You can go out to Titan Comics webpage, and that's where you can actually order the comic book directly from there, or buy the digital copy and then have it download through the Comixology app.
If you are new to the show, we do ask fans during the season a profiling question of the week every week. This week we're doing a comic book question, and that is Red Reddington ultimately behind Ryan DuPont's... Do you want to say this? Because it's kind of a spoiler if you haven't read the comic book.
It's like in the first page.
Okay. Is Red Reddington ultimately behind Ryan DuPont's death? He dies. Just letting you know. And why? Support your answer, please. We want to know. The Blacklist GSM is the magic username you will need to remember to find us on Twitter, our Facebook group, Tumblr, Instagram. You can even answer our profiling question by visiting the feedback area at theblacklistexposed.com. Now let's get into the meat of this episode because it's so exciting to talk about comic books.
Yes, it is.
I love comic books.
I love. So this comic book was interesting. So it takes place right at the end of the Berlin Saga. So it is very much written, I think, for a TV viewer. Would you not agree with that?
I honestly don't think if you've never watched the show, you would really be into the comic.
I totally agree.
Because it doesn't give any backstory, no explanation, nothing.
Well, because a little bit of backstory. It's got this one page right in the front here where it basically tells you...
it gives you a paragraph of the show description.
That's all you know if you're not a Blacklist fan. So the comic book, I think, is really geared towards...
So it gives you Michael Bay backstory.
Yeah, exactly. But it's definitely geared towards the television show fan. It takes place at the end of what we call the Berlin Saga, after one of the characters that's really close to Red dies, Alan Finch. And because Fitch is dead, it kind of escalates the entire rest of season 2. And the comic book is taking place between the death of Fitch and then, of course, the end of season 2. So we're actually going to meet some new Blacklisters that would have been part of season 2 originally. And I think that's really interesting how they work that in.
Mm-hmm. So what are we going to talk about? What do you want to touch first? Let's
talk about, it is a comic book, right? So let's talk about the artwork. What did you think of the artwork?
The art style is actually very, very sharp, very distinct. It's kind of hard. You're talking about a weekly drama action series, and you're making a comic book out of it. I think they did a very good job representing the actual characters. I think Megan Boone's character, I think Liz looks just like Megan Boone.
Absolutely.
And James Spader, it's like they took a picture and just, distorted the coloring, and actually, it looks just like him.
Yeah, I would say Cooper looks just like him too, and they have a character that we met in season 2, the Doctor. He's kind of like this quirky guy played by Kevin Wiseman, and as I was flipping through, immediately I recognized him as Kevin Wiseman in the comic book. And so my question to you, Aaron, is it cheating? Is it cheating, taking a picture of someone and then doing the cell shading when it comes to comic book specifically?
No, whatever makes it, give it pretty colors and we're fine. Yeah, I don't care how they do it.
Okay.
It looks like somebody drew it, and that's all I care about. Fool me.
Now, in a traditional comic book sense, though, we really have this issue around...
You mean in traditional sense, like you're using an app to read it?
Stop. Come on. It's a limited edition. You don't want to open it up, take it out of
which means you should really buy it.
But Aaron never put it in plastic, so now I have to figure out how to keep it pristine.
Right? Yeah, they are just tracing. Yeah. They're just tracing.
So, in a traditional comic book, though, the artwork...
Kevin Smith said hi.
The artwork actually takes place as more of the comic is the artwork than it is the actual writing and story. And I felt this, to me, was very much heavy on the thought bubbles and the word bubbles.
I did. I think it felt like the showrunners were involved in the actual story. It feels like a Blacklist story. The only thing that concerned me was I think it's a very short comic. Now, you said it's cheaper. It's $4 an issue, right?
Yeah, but it is part 1 of a 6-part series.
I get that, but I think I would have liked to have gotten a little bit more story. I think it's very short.
For the $4 is what you're saying. For $4, it's short.
$4, I think it's a little short, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair. Characters in this comic book, we are introduced to Holden McKay. What basically happens in the story is Liz has actually found out that she never passed her field test training at Quantico, so she has to go back and take this test, and it's her classmate Holden who's actually facilitating the test. What did you think of the interactions between Liz and Holden specifically?
I like that they actually addressed it, that they went back to the fact that she gets a lot of free play because of her involvement with Red. I don't know if I necessarily bought that she wouldn't pass her training, that they were so jealous of her that they failed her. But I liked it. It's an interesting concept, and I'm glad that they're exploring more of, she can get out of it if she wants to. It's a matter of if she should. And she tries to take the high road. Nobody lets her, but she tries to take the high road.
So then the question becomes, is it really a question of wanting to figure out the ties that she has to Holden? Because you said they fail her, which comes up later in the comic book. But do they fail her because of the fact that they are mad at her for the benefits and things that she gets because of Red? Or do you think that the failing is tied to somehow Red and wanting them to have her be against the law and be the criminal that they think she could be, knowing where this fits within the TV show?
No, I think
mantra?
It's envy. I think it's totally envy. I think she has a lot of bitter foes in the organization, FBI, and I really think that they're just angry that she's getting a free pass, essentially.
Okay, so you're looking at a pure play from the comic.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take the
From a work environment, I think when you have that, when you have somebody that you know is obviously getting a free pass because of who they know, then they get jealous, bitter, angry,
Okay.
feisty.
I'm going to say it's tied into the story of the television show, and there's somebody behind her failing, whether that's eventually Tom Connolly, or somebody else. I think somebody else caused her to fail the test, have to take it again.
Well, you're wrong, but we'll do that. That's fine.
Well, it is titled The Gambler Part 1, so we're introduced to the gambler kind of in an interesting way. He's flipping a coin, and he uses the term rien ne veut play, which is French. That means no more bets. Yeah.
I don't know French.
I had to write it in English in order for me to actually pronounce it. But he's saying no more bets.
I only know one kind of French. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Now, the whole point of this comic book is that somebody is trying to set up the FBI to take the fall for the murder of a high-profile, call it political figure.
Correct.
And the person behind it, we find out, is this gambler. But what I really thought was interesting was, even though we have the gambler, they also introduced this guy, Leon Kuklinski, who is number 148. That'll be important to know for season 3.
They actually gave a Blacklist number. That was a good touch.
Leo Kuklinski, and he's hired by the gambler to basically bring down this guy by the name of Ryan DuPont, who is this government official.
Who once again dies.
Yeah. So the question I have for you is, do you like that they introduced potentially 2 blacklisters right out of the gate in the comic book?
Yeah, as long as they actually come back to him in the series, I think that would be a great touch. If it's just something that's completely separate, it will feel a little separated from the world, I guess. Because I would like that mentioned at some point throughout the show.
Now, we are talking about the comic book specifically, just as it is right now. And so what we're also trying to think about is, even though it was short for the $4 that we spent, it is a longer-term play. So do you think we'll see more blacklisters working with the gambler and with Kuklinski throughout the course of the 6-issue series?
Well, I can't imagine they're going to introduce it because the way I understand it, each one of these are going to come back at some point, right, throughout the show?
Correct.
So I think it'll play a major part. Actually, I think this is kind of backstory is what they're setting this comic book up for.
Okay.
Like establishing character motives.
Right, because
for diehard fans like us.
Well, because at the end of season 2, right, we have the whole thing where Liz is on the run with Red.
Right.
And now Wrestler is the head of the division of the FBI that he's over in charge of. Right. So is this really a situation that they're setting up this information? Do you think this information in the comic book will actually feed the season 3 storyline, and this will be just extra back footage, kind of like Lost had a little bit of that Find Oceanic Flight 815 before season 4, that super fans will enjoy it because it informs.
Where was that?
It was on the web.
Oh.
So literally it's like you can enjoy Lost for what it was, or you can have this extra piece of content. Is this considered extra piece of content? You could survive without it, but you'll know more about season 3 if you read it.
Right. I think it'll come back as more of a reference, and the characters might come back at a later point, but they'll have to reestablish them because most of the viewers probably haven't read the comic book. Okay. So I don't think it'll play a huge part, but it'll be there in some fashion.
So Cooper has to figure out what they're dealing with this whole FBI issue. So there's this guy, person by the name of Director Hackett, that he's going to this governor's mansion in order to meet with. And my question to you was who the heck is Director Hackett? Because if
never heard of him, man.
Never heard of him in the TV show.
No, never heard of him. I think that's going to be a character that comes back up.
Yeah, because we talked about the Attorney General. We talked about Revan, who is also with the Attorney General's office, but we never talked about the director of the FBI.
Right.
And so now we have Director Hackett here, and I'm interested to see how he plays into season 3, if he survives the comic even.
Absolutely. I agree with that.
So are there any plot points in this comic book that didn't work for you?
Man, it's really short. That's my plot point that didn't work. It's too short. I think, I know we're avid fans and we're supposed to yay, and I like it. It's just a little too short, and I wish they would have given me a little bit more insight into the characters that they created, like Hackett, and I think they should have done a little bit more with the Blacklister. I think it was all just handled too briskly.
Okay.
That's my main concern. The plot is actually very interesting in the comic.
Yeah.
And I'm sure as it plays out, it'll be great.
If we're looking at these issues as like commercial breaks, then this would be like the first part of the commercial break. So yeah, you'd kind of be left hanging.
Which is what it seems like. But for me, if you're paying $4 for it, I guess I would like maybe a whole episode for comic is kind of what I was expecting. Maybe that's my fault for expectations, but
Oh, you wanted like a true like beginning, middle, end of that one, basically
Right.
the beginning,
Right.
middle, end of Kuklinski, even though the Gambler would have carried on.
right.
Okay, that makes sense. What about favorite sequence? in
I
the
always
book?
make sense, Troy. It's your theories that don't make any sense.
I know.
What's that?
What's your favorite sequence in the book, in the comic?
Lizzie. When Lizzie failed her Quantico training, because I thought, she had several moments throughout the comic where people referred to her as, you can get out of this. All you got to do is go to Cooper, have him call his people, and then he'll get you out of it. And several times she also says she never relents, and she says, like, no, I don't want any special treatment. This is like the Lizzie before the end of season 2, and I like that. I like going back to the character that I was a fan of.
And I really liked in that sequence when she hands over her gun and her badge, basically her gun to Aram,
and
that
says,
you
"Take
had
it." She just says, take it.
you had Agent Navabi in the background, and she actually adds that Navar, her and
Right.
Aram's comic relief. She's like, "Hey, you look good with that gun."
Right. Now, what was your favorite sequence?
I really, really liked at the beginning of the comic book, they actually go to Fitch's gravesite, and Red is literally struggling with his intentions and motivations about what he's supposed to do next. It's almost like he thinks something bad is going to happen to Liz, so he has to kind of rethink his entire plan. And then he says this really great line in Latin, which basically comes up to, it's pronounced abyssus abyssum invocat.
I had to Google it. Did you Google it?
I did Google it.
All right.
And it basically means one misstep leads to another, or literally hell meets hell. And this goes, I think, directly into what Reddington's all about with how does he do something good without doing something bad? And if he keeps doing something bad, will he ever recognize the good again? I thought that was a really
Hell
good...
meets hell or hell calls hell?
Or hell calls hell, yeah.
All right. I'm sure those mean different things.
They lead to hell. It all, it's all hellfire missiles. It all
gotcha.
ties together.
I gotcha.
But it's a moral issue, which I think is what Red's been struggling with the entire time.
Absolutely, and I really like that they do address that he had that's the one thing I don't think you really get in the show is that he had an emotional connection to Finch.
Yes.
And I really like that they broached that topic. Yep.
Now there is also a great scene in the comic book between Reddington and Mr. Kaplan shows up, and they're at the horse track races.
Because they're dating. That's my argument. They're dating.
They were literally arguing in the comic book. It literally made them sound like they had been doing something.
And you hear Spader's voice in your head the entire time you're reading it. So that's actually pretty impressive.
He's like, "Come on, Kate,
Yeah.
leave me alone.
Right.
Get off my back." But it's a really great, interesting component between the two of them because he's talking about what is his next step, what does he need to do next, and one of the things he said was that he has to record a new video for Liz, which is that like a confession tape? Is that like a
I think
parent
that
leaving
was-
something for the kid?
It's definitely, that was his, so once I'm gone, here's the video that plays for her to let her know the truth about everything tape. That's what it was.
Well, why does he have to change it? That's the question.
Because I think now they have a relationship, and I think now he's got to be a little bit more sincere about it.
Oh, you said relationship. The shippers are now going, Aaron's my new friend.
Not like that. Not like that. Like they have they're compatriots. They're partners.
Could you say they're mother and daughter?
No, I couldn't. And I don't want any more people to leave the show because of your theory. So
Well, predictions. What do you think is going to happen next? Is the Gambler going to surface? Is it going to stay in his little TV control room? Is Kuklinski going to come forward and do some stuff? Are we going to meet some new
I don't really have
blacklisters?
any predictions because I'm not sure where they're going with this. You?
I honestly, I don't. I'm interested to see what issue 2 and issue 3 are going to bring
Well-
because the TV show will be back by the time issue
Yes.
4 comes out.
Yep.
So I'm interested to see if it plays into what's going to happen with the third season.
I think you have a character that orchestrates national disasters, or it seems like it orchestrates national disasters, or orchestrates issues that cause stronger reactions in the media. And I think that's going to come back at some point.
Which actually, I just thought of this. It ties into the Fulcrum issue where Red went and
'Cause he went
distributed
to
the
the
Fulcrum
media.
to the media, and so now the Gambler's going to have
So
to try to
maybe
control
this-
the media.
Maybe this guy is going to come back and be the savior for that. Maybe.
So maybe he'd be working for the Cabal.
Oh, I'm sure he already is.
All right. Well, some season 3 news real quick before we wrap up. According to Megan Boone, we're actually going to be deviating from the norm for the third season of the Blacklist. Instead of running 2 blacklisters to catch them, she's going to be running into blacklisters, as she's, of course, on the run with Red Reddington, but they're also not on the run in a foreign country like we would have thought. They're actually going to still be in the United States right away out of the get-go.
You like this? Her being on the run?
Yeah.
Or do you want her to go back to being in the FBI?
No, I want her to be on the run, a criminal, chased
You
by
want
the
her
law,
to be full
underground.
blown. You want her to slowly become Red.
Yeah,
as a
because
show.
it was set up because we're also doing a rewatch, and in the pilot it says like she has criminal tendencies also, and that coming from her parents being a criminal. And so I like to see where that's leading, and if that's something that with that whole dream sequence and embedded memories, being in there, is this the real Liz, and what we saw in the first 2 seasons was actually a fake?
Okay, that sounds good.
It'd be good. James Spader also said that the first episode almost takes up immediately right when it ended from season 2, and it's called The Troll Farmer, desk-bound CIA
Is it
analyst.
really the name of it? It's The Troll
Farmer.
Okay.
It'll be a desk-bound CIA analyst volunteering to go undercover to infiltrate the world of a deadly arms dealer and prevent diabolical global disaster.
They actually use diabolical
Global disaster.
And you know it's going to be, the stuff's getting real.
And we also have the title for season 2, which means that we can assume that the concept of a Blacklister every week is going to be there, and it will be 22 episodes. But what John Bokenkamp said is that the days of sitting on the park bench at the beginning of the episode, kind of sharing information, who should you go catch this week, those days are gone. It is no longer a procedural. We're going to be full-on series genre television for season 3.
So it's going full serialized.
Yeah.
So it's no. Why do you like that so much? But for 22 episodes, that concerns me because that is a lot. You know what I mean? I mean, that's 13 episodes, perfectly fits that mold. You get into 22 and you're stretching. Yep. Yeah. He's saying that they split the seasons, because for people that can't hear, if you split the seasons into basically 2 story arcs throughout the season, it would work great.
Yeah, kind of like Once Upon a Time does 11 and 11. Well, that was my question, because they said 6 issues of the comic book, and there were only 3 that were on sale on Titan, or will be on sale, but 3 listed. So are they going to do 3 comic books before the season starts, and then do 3 issues in between the 2
That's what
seasons?
it sounds like. Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
Because if that's the case, that's actually a really great setup. I really like that.
We'll see. I hope they have a little bit more substance in the next one.
Yeah, it'll be great. So we're currently in the middle of a full Blacklist rewatch before the season starts. At least I am.
I am not. I watched it once. I'm good.
So I'm really enjoying the
I got
rewatch.
too many other shows I'm trying to watch, man. I can't even keep up with Humans and all the other shows I want to watch.
Oh yeah, Mr. Robot's a good one now.
Mr. Robot I want to watch. There's so many shows I want to watch, yeah.
So, but I'm doing the rewatch, so I'll be posting up in the Facebook group little clips for each day. We started on Monday, July 27th, so it'll be 1 episode a day, Monday through Friday. Use the weekends to catch up. That'll get you all 44 episodes, ending on the day season 3 premieres. So there's still plenty of time. You got 5 to catch up on right now, but if you catch up on those 5 this weekend, that we're doing the podcast marathon here August 1st, you'll be able to get up to episode 44 by the time the season starts for season 3.
What's that?
No, we're doing your podcast marathon right now. Rob needs more coffee. Get the man more coffee.
Yeah, you need some more coffee.
So basically, we just want to let you know again, we have a Facebook group, we have a Twitter group, we have the app in the iOS store, we have the app in the Android store.
We got everything.
Yeah.
We got everything at this point. And basically, so how are we doing this? When are we coming back officially from the pod? I mean, this is kind of like a bonus, but when are we officially coming back? The week before?
Well, I think what we'll do is we'll do this similar kind of 20-minute, 30-minute episode for each issue of the comic, all the way up. We'll do like a season.
We will?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I guess we will.
We'll get on.
He never asked me this stuff. He just assumes I'm going to show up.
Well,
so you let me know the date and we'll see.
Yeah, so the issue 2 comes out on August 15th. We'll do something maybe right after that, like the 22nd or 23rd of August. And then we'll have issue 3 will come out the 15th of September. So that'll be right before the season starts. We'll just do our issue 3, preview season 3, and then
sounds good.
Be back on schedule every week after that.
And we were right on time. We got 1 minute to wrap this show up.
Well, there you go.
What do you want to say?
Right there. It's all yours.
Well, you can also subscribe to the podcast on iTunes and Stitcher from the website. Go to theblacklistexposed.com. And if you are on Android, take us on the go with the Spreaker app as well. You will find all the intel and analysis about this episode, number 28, about that first issue of the comic book, issue 1, by visiting theblacklistexposed.com. Big thanks for listening. Don't forget to answer our profiling question of the month. I guess it is. Is Red Reddington ultimately behind Ryan DuPont's death, and why? Support your answer, please. We really want a little substance, not just, a quick answer. We want to know.
Yeah, we absolutely do. Until next time, I'm at Troy Heinrichs on Twitter. That's Heinz Ketchup, Ritz Crackers, no Z in the middle. And for a few more weeks, actually, you can also find me at underthedomeradio.com, talking about all the things in Chester's Mill, and we'll be up later this afternoon also talking about the Dome. So stay with us.
And I'm Agent Aaron Peterson. You can hear me talking about movies and TV on the Hollywood Outsider podcast. It's available at thehollywoodoutsider.com or on Twitter at H_outsider. Be sure to subscribe, submit your feedback, considering you're having a great summer, and be sure to keep yourself off of
The Blacklist.
Let's hear it for the Blacklist Exposed.
The Blacklist Exposed
Well done,
is a
guys.
Golden Spiral
Thank you.
Media production. Copyright